Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us this afternoon. My name is Matt Omasta, and I am the head of the Theater Education and Applied Theater Programs here at USU.
And my name is Ashley Foreman. Hi. I'm a visiting guest artist. I come from Washington, D.C., where I also work at Arena Stage. I am the artistic director of a Devised theater program there called Voices of Now.
Great. And as many of you probably know, the performance you're about to see was devised. What that means is on Tuesday, the cast walked into a classroom with no clue what this play was going to be about. And then through a series of writing exercises and discussions and various activities, they came up with the storyline that you're going to see today. So it's a really interesting process in which we moved very quickly, and we finished blocking this morning. So that's good. Also know that every story that you are going to have told is true. Every word in this play came directly from ensemble members. That does not mean, however, that the person telling a story is telling their story. In some cases, they are not. So just wanted to let you know about that.
Mm-hmm. Our play is called Freefall. The only thing that the artists got to begin with was the title. You should know that they got the final version of their script last night. Also that they finished blocking about an hour ago. A lot of the choreography belongs to the artists on stage. They explored the questions and the themes in this play physically as much as they did through their writing. And so our hope is that this play poses a lot of questions and creates an opportunity for discussion and for conversation. And so as a result of that, we have planned a brief talkback after the play. And so while you're watching the play, I'd love for you to consider what images stand out to you, what lines or words stick with you or resonate with you, and what questions does the play make you ask yourself? And then also, maybe, what questions do you have for the artists when the process is done? We explored questions like, how does fear and risk change as you get older? What happens when the things that you rely on and come back to as a young person are no longer there? How does your relationship to safety change as you leave your nest? And how do you create a safe space for the people around you as they start coming to you for comfort? So.
And then the last logistic thing, please turn off any phone or other sound generating device so that does not interrupt. As Ashley mentions, there's a talkback, so this performance is about 20 minutes. About 15 minutes of talkback. We'll be out of here about 3. If you are meeting any of the artists because you are their friends or family, please meet them outside. So we need to clear this space pretty quickly. So after the show, head on out either exit, and the artists will be there to greet you. So thank you so much, and enjoy Freefall.
Rock-a-bye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And mommy will catch you, cradle and all.
Rock-a-bye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall.
And mommy will catch you.
Daddy will catch you.
Down will come baby, cradle and all.
Freefall, a condition of unrestrained motion in a gravitational field.
Part of a parachute jump,
before the parachute opens. A sudden or rapid drop or decline. A dive.
A plummet.
A plunge that appears to be endless, but always concludes in a landing.
Have you ever felt like you were falling?
The air rushes past you so fast that you feel like you can't breathe.
Like you were out of control.
Like life is crashing down all around you?
Why is one of the first songs that we're introduced to as children about a baby plummeting to his death?
Rock-a-bye baby on the treetop, when the wind blows, the cradle will rock.
What's that song about anyway?
It's not just that song either.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Ring around the rosy,
Pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
Why are so many child songs about falling and death?
And why aren't they scary to us?
when we're kids, we think we're invincible. Right, nothing can hurt us.
Not even a fall from a tree. We run on the street.
Hey! We jump on the bed! Hey!
We climb on the roof.
Hey! We nap on the shed.
We throw rocks at bees to protect the flowers.
You did that?
Yeah, then I got stung in the eye. Lesson learned.
We feel free to have opinions about everything.
We are unabashed experts.
The red stars are colder than the blue stars. The blue stars are hotter.
If you raise a cheetah and a puppy at the same time, the cheetah will take on attributes of the puppy.
Eevee is a Pokemon. Eevee has 8 different evolutions that she can evolve into depending on the stone that she's exposed to before she is evolved by her trainer. Me.
We are masters of our imagination.
Astronomers.
Zookeepers.
Pokemon trainers.
Airbenders. When I was little, I could control the wind. I would stand on a high rock, throw my arms out and say, with all the power of the wind! And the wind would gust behind me. Every time. One time, I swear, I actually flew. I was looking up at the sky, calling to the wind, with all the power of the wind! And I was running alongside the house, and the wind gusted behind me. And just for a moment, I was flying. But what was the price that we had to pay for our childhood imaginations?
For being able to fly.
To cast spells.
To talk to animals.
Fear. Fear just as great as our imaginations.
The monster in the closet?
The face in the window.
The dark.
Portuguese discussion.
What?
My grandma's family is from Portugal. And when they're all together, they have what we like to call Portuguese discussion. Portuguese discussion is the same as a regular discussion, except in Portuguese and at the top of your lungs.
My parents only yelled at me when I was in trouble.
My parents yell all the time. And when you're a kid, hearing grown-ups fight can be really scary. It shakes your foundation because you thought that they were the ones that were supposed to keep everything under control. When I was a little older, I realized that things like yelling have consequences. And that things like fighting can lead to divorce. And that families aren't invincible. Neither were my parents.
When do you realize that your parents aren't invincible, that they aren't perfect? And how does that change how you see the world?
My mother, sister, and I were driving in our car. I was 11 years old. We were driving together and talking. The snow was falling super heavily outside, and we were feeling cozy in our car. All of a sudden, the car hit a patch of ice and started to swerve off of the road. My mom let out a deep scream. It scared us. Then she started to shift the car back onto the road. My sister and I sat in shocked and stunned silence. As soon as we started to talk again, our moms cut us off with a searing, "Shut up!" In that moment, I saw how scared my mother was. For the longest time, I thought that she could destroy anything or anyone that came in her way. But in that moment, I saw that a single patch of ice could destroy all of that motherly momentum.
Growing up, I always felt fortunate. I always felt like we had enough money, we had enough food, and that we were able to have a close family. My dad had a factory job, my mom stayed at home with us. And the rest of us, we went to school. One day in school, we learned about the Great Depression and how so many people went hungry. And I felt so grateful that I didn't have to worry about not having enough food. We also learned about the welfare system, and I was grateful to be in a family that didn't have to have a handout from the government. How embarrassing would that be? One day, I went grocery shopping with my mom. And we got to the checkout, and my mom pulled out 2 cards. A card, and a card that I hadn't seen before. Mom, what's that card for?
Oh, the food stamps.
You're on food stamps?
Yes, we have been for a while.
My mind raced through all the years of school clothes, ice cream runs, and literally everything that my parents had bought me ever since I can remember. Months later, when my church shoes wore out, I put that tape on them so the water wouldn't get in. Mom noticed.
Why didn't you tell me you needed new shoes?
I didn't want you guys to have to pay for them. We're on food stamps. My mom reeled back in shock and then sat me down.
We're well prepared, but we're not that rich.
My mom taught me an important lesson that day. That even though we didn't have a lot of money, we had each other. And that was enough. My parents always made sure that I felt safe.
Parents do lots of things that make us feel safe. Some are things they do, and others are things they say.
The things parents say to keep their children safe.
Careful, that's hot! Look both ways. Don't talk to strangers.
Stay where I can see you.
And don't forget your coat.
But as their children get older, the warnings change.
Don't set your drink down.
Keep your tank half full.
Text me before you leave, all right? Text me when you get there, all right? But don't text and drive.
And don't forget your coat.
And now that I'm an adult, I don't have my family around to protect me. It's my own voice I hear in my head saying,
I can't forget to turn off the stove.
I have to check the back seat before I get in the car. I have to take my keys out before I exit the building.
I can't forget to lock the door before I go to sleep.
I need to pay my bill.
my power bill.
My rent.
I have to provide for my family.
And I can't forget my coat this time.
It all happened so fast, and now suddenly, I'm the parachute. Not just for me, but for my daughter on the way. At times, I feel so uncertain. How can I be sure to meet her emotional needs as she grows? Will she feel loved enough in our home? Will she question our appreciation for her? I love her so much already, but I have to accept the fact that I'm not going to be perfect, because who is? We may make mistakes, but as long as my husband and I try our best, we can't cause too much damage, right? How do you create a safe place to land for someone else when you're still trying to build your own.
I worry that I will become the mirror staring back at my mother. Not because I don't admire her. She is the most loving and caring person I have ever met. Not because she's not beautiful. The wrinkles around her eyes are the result of our family laughing until we cry. My mom is my hero. I worry because my mother is sick. She always has been. But I didn't realize how sick until about a year ago when I got a phone call from my father telling me
You need to come home.
she was worse, drowning in the darkness. I got home in half the time that day. I have suffered from depression for 7 years, and I will continue to wrestle with it for the rest of my life. But my mother and I are too similar. Our tides roll in and out with the same mood. I often think to myself, how can I possibly survive this when the most strong woman in the world almost didn't? How can we catch those who are supposed to catch us? What happens when we find out that they're in their own free fall?
And how do we find a safe place to land?
Safety sounds like
The Christmas tree in the front window.
A bowl of soup on a wooden table.
My dog running toward me to greet me.
A hug.
Safety is what I make it. February 2008. I think it's when my dad left my mom for the last time. It was near my sister's birthday. The whole thing is like super distorted in my brain, but super carved in. I don't even remember him leaving. I just remember crying in this amber void on this olive green couch. At 8 years old, the strings tethering me to true adolescence snapped. Now, I'm not going to complain that I come from a broken home, but I do come from broken people. And that's what hurts. From court battles to comas, being moved around school to school, state to state, strangers leaving my life just as quick as they entered it. I never had the privilege of a nest. I slipped through the cracks of adolescence. I never felt like I was caught or pushed. I was dropped straight through the cracks of adolescence. But I don't need a parachute, because I have my pride and my will and the knowledge that my nest is where I make it. My nest is with my girlfriend and the people on the stage and myself. And despite it all, I'm actually thankful that my parents made that possible.
Family isn't just the people you're born with. Sometimes it's the people you choose. And as you get older, you learn to choose people who make you feel safe and supported.
Sometimes moving away from family is your saving grace.
and other times is knowing that you have a home to return to that is that grace.
How do we create an environment where children feel safe enough?
And brave enough to take risks.
And know that they have a home to come home to.
Who gets caught?
And who falls through the cracks?
How can we make a world where everyone is loved?
How do we create a community where it's safe for everyone to land?
Freefall.
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 Again, thank you for joining us. We're just going to take a few minutes to engage with what you experienced. Can anybody share?
Can we,
Oh,
share
absolutely.
their
We
names?
absolutely should.
Yeah.
So these are our artists.
Hello, my name is Jake Hogan.
I'm Elizabeth O'Hannon.
Adam Rush.
And Andrew Staff.
Rihanna Russell, Sally Holt,
Tyler Daly.
Emma Morgan,
Nicole James.
Excellent. I'm Ashley, and that's
And that is
Secure.
unanticipated music. So, we're going to ask you a few questions. And the first is, were there any images, visual things you saw in this piece that stood out to you or resonated with you? Anything that just kind of struck you in terms of visual pictures or things that appeared throughout the play? Yes?
When they said the baby will fall and they all
Right.
scared and like,
Right, so that reaction to
Yeah.
this horrible line about babies falling out of trees, and their reaction to that physically. Any other images or that just stood out, made an impression on that?
I loved at the beginning when they were all showing like how they ramp things as children. Because it was something we all saw, you know, when Nicole was an airbender and all that, it actually happened. So that's cool.
Yeah, so relating those experiences that we talked about to your experiences, or those that your friends or family may have had. Images.
the tearing or staggering with the wind scene when she talks about flying, that was really neat. It worked really well.
Some image where you're like ramping up. Cool.
The scene where the mom's driving the car and then she just says shut up, and the shutdown of just the feelings of being a kid and your parents yelling at you, that was so real.
And so, yeah, were there other words then? So images or words or lines that really resonated with you? Or even ideas? I'm hearing here like the being a kid and remembering what it feels like to be shut down by your parents, or remembering what it feels like to see your parents sort of out of control. Anything else that resonated with you or made you wonder?
So I, like Elizabeth, am expecting a daughter, and so that scene, sorry, super emotional. It really hit me, you know, how do you prepare your home for that?
I already have a daughter, she's sitting right next to me, so the scene in the car where they're talking about mom, you know, or maybe it was later when they're talking about parents arguing or yelling, I thought, ooh, what are things they hear me and mom complain about or argue about?
Yeah, I've been thinking that the whole time too, making the play. Absolutely.
when they were talking about having a place to come home to and they all stepped back in together. I haven't been home since August, and so like I get to go home for Christmas. That's just like the mood right now.
The thing that stuck out to me is when he was talking about his perception of his family's like wealth and like, oh, we have so much money and never had to worry to find out parents on food stamps, and it just reminds me of like my grandmother, you know, born in the Great Depression, but she's like, I didn't realize I was poor because everyone was poor, and like she thought her family was like fine and well-to-do. It wasn't until later she looked back and realized, oh, like my family was poor, like we didn't have anything, and so it's interesting what kids, like what they perceive as wealth or good, like because they just saw their family and the wealth that they had within that family.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The phrase slipping through the cracks of adolescence that was said twice. Really, I feel like that's a very specific feeling. And so that really emotional to me. That just resonated a lot. I never heard it put into words so well.
For putting that to words so well.
Yes.
I just have one more. I'm sorry, not good with names. When one of the gentlemen said, not necessarily a broken home, broken people, it kind of took me back to high school when my mom confided in me that she'd been considering getting a divorce because she wasn't getting along with my father as well as all of us kids were perceiving. And I don't know, I guess it hit me then, it's like, they're not as indestructible as you think.
From this talkback even, I mean from the play, but from this talkback, I'm starting to hear how much our play is about perception and how your perception changes when you grow up, which I guess I knew, but now hearing it reflected. Do you hear that too? It's really interesting. I didn't mean to interrupt. Yes, sir.
That was exactly my point. I was going to
Say it again, say it in your own words.
Perspective is huge.
Yeah.
As a kid and then as an adult, you know, the falling part of it, as an adult, and as a child maybe even, I thought, you know, that was just a form of kids, as they learn to walk, as they learn from crawling to walking to running, how many times you fall, right? But yet, you're not afraid. You carry on, you can continue to try new things and to run faster, right? This whole play is all about, in my mind, was about perspective. From a young child to a teenager to an adult, and how it changes, and two people can be sitting side by side and experience something like sliding in the ice, and one of them can be scared to death, and the other one look over and go, wow, that was so fun. Perspective is huge, and always try to keep that in perspective itself, because just because you felt a certain way, maybe evaluate that and look deeper inside yourself. Maybe you can change that bad experience into a good one.
What a cool thing to think about as a result of the play. Thank you so much for sharing that.
In a moment, we'll see if you have any questions for our artists, but our last question before that is about questions. There were a number of questions raised throughout the piece, and we're just wondering if any of those resonated with any of you, so questions they asked, or if you came up with questions based on what you saw. Did the piece inspire you to think about a question that you hadn't considered?
And we've already heard some from you, right? How does your perspective change based on your experience or your age, right? We could turn a lot of those statements into questions, absolutely. So what did this play pose to you?
Yeah.
Well, like we were kind of touching up on it, but one of the questions that was raised kind of earlier was, when do you realize like your parents aren't perfect? And then like I just had a ton of things like going through my mind, like but like all my parents did for me, like growing up, I relied on them to do things. And then I've been in school for some time, so like when I go home for the holidays, I see things my parents do. They're like little imperfections, like not on purpose and everything. And then it used to kind of concern me because I still felt like I had this reliance with them. And then like now it just kind of turned into seeing these imperfections. It kind of made me realize how much I had to rely on myself. Like, and it's kind of a proud moment. I've kind of started to enjoy that, like, as growing up. And, you know, towards the end, where they talked about, you know, you make your own family, things like that. So that question really stood out to me.
Thank you so much. Any other questions that resonated with you or that you thought of yourself throughout the yes, ma'am?
I got the question at the end, how do I make things perfect? How do I make things better? We will never make things perfect. We just have to learn to deal with the imperfections in a good way. And I think that's a good lesson that we all need to learn. So that's one thing I want to learn. We will never make things perfect.
And I think again that goes back to the idea of perception and being able to look at things that are not quite perfect and say, but they're good enough.
Remind me, what was that last question? Was it how do we make a safe
What was a community where it's safe for everyone to land?
How do we make a community where it's safe for everyone to land? I think it bears repeating just because I feel like it was the driving question for this ensemble of the play, of the whole play. And so I think it bears repeating. Is there anything else in this play made you wonder? It's a good way to think about it.
Just like going off that last question is, do we ever land? Like, is there ever a point where we're not in freefall? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Thank you. It reminds me of a question that's not in the play, that was in the play, which was, can we make a home anywhere, or can home be anywhere? Which sort of, for some reason, it reminds me of that. Thank you.
I just had a question about how did they put this together?
Yeah, that's what we were going to move on to. So if we want to do questions for the artists, is that cool?
Anybody want to respond to that, the process of putting this together?
So we started out, like they said, with just the title, and we just sort of started spitting out words and ideas and forming questions based around that title. Starting with the most basic, like what is a freefall? What does a freefall feel like? To more poignant questions like what happens if whatever was supporting you is gone? What happens then? And from there we sort of moved into stories based on writing prompts, and we did tableaus, which you saw a lot of. We just started doing improvising tableaus, and from those tableaus, from those stories, Ashley and Matt were able to sort of take what we said, from taking notes on what we said and what we wrote, and then taking those images as well and helping us to incorporate them into the blocking. Sort of just came together like that.
That was a really nice summary of the process, exactly. Perfect. Great.
I don't have a question, it's more of a compliment. I just thought the writing was great. And I think that's just because you guys were honest. And anytime you're honest in your writing, that comes across, I think, to the audience, regardless of the words you use. And so I know I felt that myself. That's a compliment. I thought it was great.
Thank you. Can I respond to that? I think, like, off of that, and then kind of answering your question also, like, I think that was a huge part of it was the text, as I mentioned, was all created by us and based in our lives. And so having something that we were connected to and, like, felt so genuine about, I think made it really easy to, like, wake up this morning at 7 o'clock and not know the full script yet. Like, I know the story we're saying, and, like, using our own words to describe it, I think, part of the writing and the process.
Yes.
How would you describe telling someone else's story? What is that experience like to tell a story that's not yours? All of them. Answer all of you.
I think for me it was like there's a common experience, I guess, like with what we were telling, and even though it wasn't exactly what we experienced something similar. And it was just like interesting to see how connected we all were, even through childhood, like our teen years and growing up, even though, like, I don't know, I've met most of these people in the past year. Like, we didn't grow up. Actually, all of them. Never mind. All of them in the past year.
Emma, did you want to share?
Yeah, I think it was actually easier than you might think it is because, okay, I didn't understand like the story about the mom and loving your mom and how she's imperfect. I didn't understand exactly that experience, but like I love my mom more than anything. And yeah, she's not perfect, but like she's my hero. And so I could relate to that, and so it made it easier. It was finding common, like what Nicole was saying, similarities and understanding. I don't know their full experience, but I know what it's like to love my mom, or I know what it's like to struggle finding your nest, things like that.
Jacob. And we did an exercise when we were like starting to put this together, I think maybe the first day, yeah, where we wrote poems earlier in the week that were very like called I am poems, and the prompt was to ask us to like dig into ourselves and sort of be vulnerable and honest and things, and we were asked to pull a line from that, and then we read that line to the group, and then we turned around and the group formed an image of the line that we read. And so I think that there was even kind of a sense of duty among us as an ensemble to be like, this, I want mine to be interpreted well and like correctly and authentically, and I'm going to do that for all of these people as well.
And that particular activity, those were presented as gifts. So it's called Tableau Gifts. The lines are really innocuous, like I see, I wonder, I fear, I feel, I laugh. Like they're really simple. But when you present the line to the group, it belongs to the group in that moment. The group makes a gift for you. Only you. You are the audience. It's not supposed to be angled towards anybody else. So creating gifts for one another as a result of shared writing is at the core of the spirit of this process. So the whole play was a gift to each other and to you and an exploration. So.
Any other questions before we wrap up?
I just want to know, it's like hard to talk about things, obviously, but I want to know if people had any like reservations telling stories, and if they had any stories that were scared to tell, and if they ultimately decided to have them be included or not.
Anyone want to?
We are given very clear instructions at the beginning of the process that from a certain point forward, anything we say and anything we write can and might be included in the show. So you have to be able to take the step to be vulnerable with certain things, because that's where our through line, our connective tissues and experiences come from, are those vulnerable moments. But we also were given the option to just not say something if we didn't want it to be said in front of an audience. And also, we were given the opportunity to choose if we wanted to share our own story or if we would feel more comfortable having someone else share it.
And I think with like the process, I think we all felt that like all the stories that we've written and as the script came together, that we all felt comfortable that we were able to share. Part of this process that we would do is allow us to share our voices and let that come out into a play. It's not like a traditional like play that you would, like a playwright does, as together as a community we create this our own play that others can hear our voices.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Before we give them one last round of applause, I just want to acknowledge a few people who you did not see. Emily Esparza and Kenya Thompson helped us with lights and sound. And that was wonderful. So thank you to them. And Alyssa Vandershay videotaped our performance for us. So thank you again for coming. Again, meet folks outside. Thank you so much.